Ladies and gentlemen, on page 24 of the latest filing in the Durham Probe Special Counsel, it talks about the FBI Assistant Director's notes, and those notes in 2016. And the FBI Assistant Director at that time was Andrew McCabe. So if this is accurate, Andrew McCabe's notes referenced Christopher Steele's meeting with investigators. And then it says on page 24 and 25, those notes, among other things, that the dossier's author was hired by U.S. investigative firm to, quote, dig up dirt on Trump for an unnamed U.S. client. Now, they knew, so Comey lied under oath. McCabe almost certainly lied under oath numerous times, pertaining to the fact that in 2016 they knew the dossier. And this is within a Department of Justice filing. The special counsel is part of Merrick Garland's Department of Justice, interestingly enough. Now, it was initiated by William Barr's Department of Justice. This is a very important segment, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe, share this everywhere. I'm actually reading from the latest filing, and I'm not making anything up. The Durham Probe isn't making anything up. John Durham is utilizing information that we've known for a long, long time. Everybody from John Solomon to Tom Fitton, I've written about this in the Federalist, and you could type in H.A. Goodman Federalist. I've written numerous articles on the Durham Probe Special Counsel. One of the articles was actually retweeted by Rush Limbaugh twice. And just like they cheated Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Party said it was fair and neutral, and they cheated their own candidate, and their emails show this. You have the words, the text messages, Peter Strzok saying, "We'll stop Trump," talking about with McCabe an insurance policy if Trump actually defeats Clinton. I mean, it's right there. They're not they can go ahead, you can say, oh, well, he was upset at Trump for something he said. That's why he said, we'll stop Trump. That's what Strzok, his defense was. Well, I said, we'll stop an incoming political candidate or a direct rival of Clinton because I was outraged about what he said. So give me a break. You're texting to others, we'll stop Trump. If the reverse were true, no publication on the planet would defend that. But of course, it's Trump, so no problem. There's no bias. There's obviously no bias if agents are actually stating, we will stop an incoming candidate or an incoming president or a direct political rival of Clinton. But here, they know in 2016, everyone at the Federal Bureau of Investigation knows, because you have the McCabe's actual notes referenced here on page 24-25. Those notes, the FBI Assistant Director's notes, state, among other things, the dossier author was hired by Fusion GPS to dig up dirt on Trump for an unnamed client. Everybody knew it was Clinton. In 2016, they knew it was Clinton and still used the dossier. Whether or not, see, they like to get lost in minutia and nonsense. Well, it didn't start. What started was Carter Page and George Papadopoulos. Well, those two individuals were set up and framed. Their books are out, and they explain it. I've read a good part of each of those books. They're fantastic reads. And they were set up and framed. They needed a pretext. We know now from the Igor Danchenko indictment that McCabe and Comey almost certainly lied and committed perjury. But you know that within this filing, the FBI director, Assistant Director Andrew McCabe, in his notes, quote, dig up dirt on Trump. Why are they investigating Trump if a dossier being utilized by the United States government was created only for the sole purpose of digging up dirt on Trump from his direct political rival? And they knew it was Clinton. Sussman, James Baker at the FBI, when he met with Sussman, knew it was he was going on behalf of the law firm that Madam Secretary and mashed potato brains our president and the entire Democratic Party utilizes. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel. This is a very, very important segment because if you have on page 24 and 25 of the latest filing, okay. Memorandum in opposition regarding Sussman motion. Okay, So that was just filed. On page 24, you have and the actual note or notes from the assistant director of the FBI. And it states that the dossier was created simply to dig up dirt on Trump. They knew that Trump was never tied to the Kremlin, that he was never installed, but they still investigated. That's 18 U.S. Code 371. They broke that statute, and I wrote about that. You can type in, like I said, H.A. Goodman Federalist, or you could read my writing on hagoodman.com and The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications. But I wrote in 2019 that they should be charged for breaking 18 U.S. Code 371 because they conspired to defraud the United States government. They're under oath as stating, well, it wasn't just the dossier. We started the investigation prior to the dossier, but they have all of these text messages that are incriminating, all of these notes that they wrote that are incriminating. They knew that he was innocent. They knew that they knew that there was no evidence to continue any investigation into a president's first year in office. And then you have John Solomon. DOJ officially warned Steele dossier was connected to Clinton might be biased. This was in 2017 they were warned. Or they knew. So Orr's briefing in July and August of 2016. You had the Department of Justice. You had people at the Department of Justice filtering the Steele dossier, including a deputy director for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, a top lawyer for Attorney General Loretta Lynch. So this is all of this information. It was all utilized throughout. That's a Hill article. Throughout 2016 and 2017. But if he's on record, if these people are on record, so James Comey is on record as saying he didn't know the Steele dossier was purchased by Clinton. That's impossible if the assistant director, if the person that's right under him knew in 2016. How on earth could he not have known? This was before Trump defeated Clinton. And you have the Igor Danchenko indictment. The Steele subsource was indicted. These agencies and the Central Intelligence Agency within this filing stated that the information obtained by Trump, obtained by Sussman and the researchers, the third indictment of the Durham Probe Special Counsel, was fabricated, user-created. So there was literally no information they used other than the notion, suspicion that Trump was installed by another country. The DHS and ODNI reports from Clapper and Brennan and Comey were written long after, I think it was, in beginning of January, late 2016. So you can't say that the intelligence, the three intelligence agencies officially were suspicious. Because even in those reports, they were only high to moderate confidence assessments. See, nobody reads the actual government data. Nobody actually reads. When you have these people who are like, oh, Trump is so corrupt, they don't like Trump's personality, so they think anything he's accused of, he's guilty of. The problem, however, is that the epicenter of corruption is not Trump. It's not really even the Republican Party, although there are many corrupt Republicans. Richard Burr selling stock right after a classified briefing. Are you kidding me? Dianne Feinstein did the same thing. You have Democrats who went after Trump, obviously, and never Trump Republicans who went after Trump, and they get hooked up. But if you're looking at 18 U.S. Code 371 or perjury, you can easily, because McCabe was already fired for lying to the FBI. Then they says, the Inspector General report and was unfair. It's like, are you kidding? You're already on record as talking about an insurance policy. You have Peter Strzok kicked out of the Mueller. How do you get kicked out of the Mueller probe for bias? They're all biased. He was kicked out of the Mueller probe. And all of these people are on CNN and MSNBC, and the New York Times gives them wonderful, beautiful written up pieces about them. And it's like, look, they knew. It's on page 24 and 25 of the latest filing. They knew early on. exactly what the dossier was about. End of story. These people, they should be either indicted or arrested, or not indicted or charged for conspiring to defraud and deceive the United States of America, because they did that. Now, I have a great deal of respect for law enforcement. Great deal of respect for law enforcement. Okay, you could see. I'm a member of the 1199 Foundation. Wonderful organization. And if you're in California or either anywhere else, you should join it if you want to, if you can. It's a fantastic organization that helps the families of California Highway Patrol officers. I respect law enforcement. I've known years back former retired Federal Bureau of Investigation agents. Wonderful people. FBI, I'm sure, has a great many wonderful, beautiful people. Okay? I'm sure Central Intelligence Agency has great people. Okay? The people at the top didn't like Trump. They wanted to set him up and frame him, and that's it. It's not rocket science. Because Democrats, it worked in their favor, then you have the entire public relations machine propping up those individuals who helped conspire and defraud and deceive the country. At a certain level, yes, sometimes you have people who engage in corrupt, illegal, despicable behavior. It could be any industry. I don't believe in defunding law enforcement, but I understand that there sometimes are people who do bad things. But in any industry, it could be a lawyer, it could be an accountant, it could be anybody. It could be any financial advisor, any person in any industry is capable of doing something, unethical, illegal. And we see that all the time. In this case, however, McCabe and Comey, Strzok for sure, all of these people, Kleinsmith, Danchenko, and Sussman. This Sussman indictment is very bad for Strzok, very bad for for Comey, and extremely bad for McCabe. Because in the Sussman indictment, see, the longer Sussman's attorneys, no, you can't do this. We want to throw this out. We'll throw the factual background out, and we don't want a special agent to testify and all that stuff. The more that they fight the Durham probe special counsel, the more Durham says, hey, well, we have this information, we have that information, and he has probably endless information they don't know about. But if you have text messages notes from Andrew McCabe and the assistant director at that time, stating that the Steele dossier in early 2016 or the middle of 2016 was like an acknowledgement that it was only a nonsensical, it was a dossier that Clinton purchased to dig up dirt on Trump. They should never have continued even with a special counsel. Then you have Comey's memos. I mean, what happened to our government and our country the past 5-6 years, democracy was not undermined by Trump. Democracy was undermined by the people who opposed Trump. Because Trump's personality, that's not undermining democracy. You can't set up and frame people with memos. The special counsel into Trump was started in large part by memos of Comey, his interaction with Trump. I mean, you can't do this. You just can't set up and frame people. Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, they're all using these indictments now in further lawsuits. Okay? Every indictment has a factual background and information that the Durham probe special counsel compiled that vindicates and exonerates not just Trump, but Carter Page, Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Michael Flynn, all of these people. And McCabe and Comey and Strzok and all these others were smart enough. They were the country's top law enforcement officials. Okay? They were the country's top. And it's interesting to see Democrats who say defund the police go to bat and defend these people who are literally in text messages saying, we'll stop Trump. And oh, by the way, the Steele dossier was just to dig up dirt on Trump, and it was purchased by Clinton. And utilize all of this to investigate an incoming president. And then they say, oh, well, the Justice Department under President Obama was independent. Are you kidding me? It was not independent. Just because you didn't have a memo from President Obama saying, Clapper, Brennan, go ahead and investigate. Once Clapper had a little bit of heat, He said, well, we were doing what we were told by the president, because President Obama was the boss of Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Strzok, McCabe, all of these people. They didn't like Trump. They went after him, and now everything's unraveling. Each Durham probe indictment shows that they did conspire and defraud the U.S. under 18 U.S. Code 371. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult to prove, especially if you have more text messages. So they're trying their best. Oh, it's not just, we kind of knew. We knew, but we didn't know that the dossier was purchased by Clinton. They're trying their best to, we know that it was an insurance policy, but we weren't really referring to that. Well, what if there are more documents, more emails, more text messages, which, of course, the Durham Probe Special Counsel has. Each indictment will bring up the words of these former agents and officials that they never thought the public would know about. That's going to incriminate them further. They did conspire to defraud people. You have tens of millions of Americans who truly believe that Trump was installed by another country, and it's because of these people. And how many, do you think that McCabe or Comey or Strzok or Page or all of these people, you think that Clapper or Brennan, you think any of these people realize how many families got into arguments during Thanksgiving? You think they even care how many friendships were lost because of apoplectic, hysterical liberal Democrats who are wonderful people purging themselves of friends or family because they think that Trump was installed by the Kremlin? I mean, it's unbelievable. And not to mention, you have this Bernie Sanders. This whole thing started with Bernie Sanders being cheated. That's why I want Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump 2024. Believe me, and I'm not even joking about that. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Thank you so very, very much.